Perhaps the greatest threat to the recognition of Christ's deity is not from outside the church, but from within. Let's take a look at an example. Father Richard Rohr, an ordained Franciscan priest and director at the Center for Contemplative Action in Albuquerque, New Mexico, authored The Universal Christ that rose to number 12 on the New York Times bestseller list in March 2019. It became Amazon's #1 book of Christology and Christian ethics. Rohr presents a cosmic Christ who is, quote, in everything in nature. All wisdom and knowledge in world religions come from a universal source. In the book, Rohr advocates the viewpoint that Christ and Jesus are two different beings. They are not unified, and it is up to man to unify them. Jesus is limited and earthbound. In a February 2nd, 2022 interview in New Yorker, Rohr stated, the Spirit of God can be found in the practice of other religions, like Buddhist meditation or through communing with nature. He went further to say that you don't have to follow Jesus or practice the tenets of any religion to come to salvation. You just have to fall in love with the divine presence, whatever name. In the Universal Christ, Rohr states in a passage as if taken from the Hindu Upanishads, if you can trust and listen to the inner divine image, this whole-making instinct, or what I call in an earlier book, true self, you'll be moving forward with your best, your kindest, your most inclusive self. In fact, a passage from the Upanishads states, when the senses are purified, the heart is purified. When the heart is purified, there is constant and unceasing remembrance of the self. When there is constant and unceasing remembrance of the self, all bonds are loosed and freedom is attained. Rohr believes that original sin is, quote, just a theory, and Rohr denies the atonement of the crucifixion. Rather, it was a revelation of love of the Trinity and not to rectify sin. Rohr published another popular book, The Divine Dance, where he states that a holy source went out among creatures to bind them to the absolute, and God is not just a dancer, God is the dance itself. The Trinity is presented as a divine flow, as an exchange of love and life. It should be noted that the Hindu god Shiva is known as Nataroha, the Lord of the dance. Shiva binds dynamic and static energy flow. On October 6, 2023, the London Hindu Temple posted an informational YouTube video titled Nataraha, the Divine Dance of Shiva. Despite criticism from Protestants and Catholics as being heretical, a press release of July 1st, 2022 from the Center for Contemplative Action features Rohr meeting with Pope Francis in the Vatican. According to Rohr, Pope Francis told him 3 times, I want you to keep doing what you're doing, keep teaching what you're teaching. The Pope acknowledged having read The Universal Christ, and the press release shows pictures of the book on a coffee table by the smiling Pope. Rohr's views of the deity of Christ should be of concern to the Church. They have global and widespread appeal across demographic and religious and non-religious groups. My experience, after living nearby his center for 10 years and having been sought out by many with the mistaken belief I was him or a relative, as we share similar names, and with requests to me of where to send their donations, found that Rohr seemed to have a significant following among females and particularly elderly ones. It is just to show that his views do cross generational lines and not embraced by any single demographic group. His views, unlike with other evangelists and theologians, are popularly accepted and promoted in the press to include the talk show circuits. His humble and simple lifestyle with advocacy of universal spiritual unity have endeared him to many with hopes of world peace. Look, we all want mankind to live in peace and harmony. We want peace and harmony within ourselves. However, when we reduce the deity of Christ to being a force and flow of nature, we are missing the true essence of creation. Isn't that what he and his followers are looking for? The true essence of it? Well, they need to go back and read their Bibles. There, they will find it. Thanks.